public key cryptography for the universal authentication of callers. The goals are that 1. Local telephone companies will authenticate every outgoing call after instituting a one-time update. And the second goal is that every caller's programmable calling device, such as their personal computer or smartphone, will authenticate all calls after undergoing a one-time update. This entire process will be invisible to the caller. For many people, all of their calls pass through a local telephone company, so if this local telephone company can apply authentication, then all of these calls will be authenticated. However, many callers have devices that can bypass the local telephone company, so we will need a second method as well, whereby these devices can authenticate themselves. So we will first discuss local telephone company applied caller authentication. Required elements for telephone company applied authentication will need a global database run by a trusted authority. Also, people need a way to easily report robocalls, such as by dialing a number immediately after getting a robocall. The telephone companies will need to make a one-time update. Part of this update is that each telephone company will generate a secret library of random 128-bit numbers that are termed telephone company reputation IDs. The telephone company will assign a reputation ID to each customer's account. These reputation IDs are shared only with the global database. The customer is not even allowed to know their assigned telephone company reputation ID. Public key cryptography is used by the global database to create a single key set. The private key remains a secret, while the public key is released to the world. So this is how the telephone company applied authentication will work. The caller's call will go through the local telephone company, and the local telephone company will take the telephone company reputation ID and the caller's and the receiver's phone number and a timestamp, and it will then get the public key from the global database, and using the public key it will encrypt these all together and to form an encrypted telephone company reputation ID. This will be sent to the receiver's local telephone company. Now at this point you may say, wait, this is not how public key cryptography is supposed to work. The receiver needs the private key for decryption, right? In this case, no, because the reputation ID is sent to the global database for decryption. And so it's sent to the global database, and in return, you get a reputation report with caller ID confirmation. And if this report is good, the receiver's local telephone company will send through the call. Some important notes about this reputation report. The report does not reveal the reputation ID. Also, the reputation of the caller is verified even if the caller's phone number was never provided, such as with caller ID blocking. And also, callers who non-abusively spoof caller ID will still have favorable reputation reports, so their calls can still get through. Now let's discuss caller device-applied authentication. Caller devices that bypass the local telephone company need to be able to apply authentication. Required elements for caller device-applied authentication. Every programmable caller device is assigned a 128-bit caller reputation ID that is costly to obtain, though this cost will almost always be invisible to the caller. And there are many distribution possibilities. For instance, Microsoft Windows PCs all have a 128-bit product key, so a hash of this can serve as a caller reputation ID. Smartphones can be issued a unique reputation ID via an operating system update. And there are other methods that are not discussed here. And this is how caller device-applied authentication will work. The caller's personal computer will take the caller reputation ID and the caller's and the receiver's phone number and the timestamp and the public key from the global database. This looks all familiar. And using this public key, it will create an encrypted caller reputation ID that will then be sent to the receiver's local telephone company, and this will then be sent to the global database in exchange for a reputation report. If the reputation report is good, the call goes through to the receiver. And it doesn't have to be a personal computer calling a landline. It could be a personal computer calling another personal computer. The process is the same. Many calls will be made with two forms of authentication, and this is good because you only really need one form of authentication, so this redundancy built into the system will greatly accelerate widespread adoption. This is a basic overview. There is always more to say. Thank you very much.